In the ever-evolving landscape of global economics, a new and powerful alliance is steadily making waves, reshaping the dynamics of international trade and finance. This alliance is known as BRICS. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These nations, strategically located across the globe, form the core of this influential group. Together, they represent some of the world's largest and most dynamic emerging economies, each with its unique strengths and potential. For decades, global finance and economic policy have been largely dominated by Western powers and institutions. But BRICS is actively pushing for a rewrite of these established norms, seeking a more balanced and equitable global financial architecture. Collectively, these nations represent a significant portion of humanity, housing nearly half the world's population. They also contribute a major share of the world's total gross domestic product, making them a force to be reckoned with in the global marketplace. In 2024, BRICS took a significant step towards expanding its influence by adding Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the UAE to its ranks. This expansion is aimed at boosting its collective economic and resource clout on the global stage. Russia and the UAE in particular are recognized as energy giants, possessing vast reserves of oil and natural gas. Brazil holds a leading position in agriculture, exporting a wide range of agricultural products worldwide. China has firmly established itself as the world's factory, driving global manufacturing output. And India has emerged as a global leader in technology and services, particularly in the IT sector. By strategically joining forces and leveraging their respective strengths, they're collectively building a powerful economic bloc. This bloc aims to operate more independently from traditional Western financial systems, fostering greater economic sovereignty. Their cooperation is grounded in practical considerations, with the primary goal of reshaping global trade and finance to better serve their interests. Unlike many Western alliances that are often driven by ideological alignment, BRICS is primarily driven by mutual economic interests and pragmatic cooperation. Annual summits provide a platform to focus on key areas such as trade, investment, and security cooperation. A particularly important objective is reducing dependence on the US dollar in international trade and finance. However, this isn't just about economics and trade. It represents a direct challenge to the long-standing foundation of American economic power and global influence. The rise of BRICS signals a significant shift toward a more multipolar world order, where power is distributed among multiple centers. Their growing influence and increasing assertiveness are forcing the world to sit up and pay close attention. The central question now is whether BRICS can truly and fundamentally change the established rules of the global game and create a more equitable and balanced international system. The stage is set for a new era in international relations, one where the influence of BRICS will undoubtedly play a pivotal role in shaping the future. To truly grasp the nature of the BRICS challenge and the potential impact it could have on the global financial landscape, we must first understand the immense and enduring power of the US dollar. It's a power that has shaped international relations and global economics for decades. For decades, the dollar has been the undisputed world's currency, the primary medium of exchange in international markets. Its dominance was effectively cemented at Bretton Woods in 1944, a pivotal moment in financial history that established the post-war monetary order. Even after the gold standard officially ended in the early 1970s, the dollar tenaciously remained the world's main reserve currency, the asset held by central banks around the globe. It also became, and has largely remained, the standard for global trade, the currency in which most international transactions are denominated. This exorbitant privilege, as it's often called, allows the US to borrow cheaply on international markets and wield immense geopolitical influence on the world stage, giving it considerable leverage in international affairs. Countries across the globe need dollars to buy essential commodities like oil and to facilitate international trade, creating a constant and consistent demand for the currency. The US can leverage this system to impose economic sanctions, effectively isolating nations like Russia from the global financial system, and Iran, limiting their access to international markets and resources. But this dominance also inherently means that other countries' economies are inextricably tied to US monetary policy decisions and economic performance. When the Federal Reserve decides to raise interest rates, for example, it can trigger significant financial instability worldwide, particularly in emerging markets with dollar-denominated debt. Many nations now increasingly view the dollar's long-held reign as not only outdated, but also as constraining their own economic sovereignty and development. BRICS isn't just voicing complaints and concerns, they're actively building alternative payment systems and exploring new financial infrastructure designed to bypass the dollar altogether. They argue that today's increasingly diverse and multipolar global economy urgently needs a more representative and equitable financial system, one that reflects the shifting balance of economic power. The dollar's dominance isn't likely to collapse overnight in a dramatic fashion, but its central role in the global financial system is undeniably being steadily eroded over time. As alternative currencies and payment systems gain traction, the world is watching with keen interest as BRICS takes the lead in driving this gradual, but potentially transformative shift in the global financial order. BRICS is executing a clear strategy: de-dollarization. The goal? Use their own currencies for trade, not the US dollar. Bilateral currency swap agreements let central banks exchange currencies directly, bypassing the dollar. China leads with dozens of such deals, providing liquidity for local currency trade. BRICS is also developing alternatives to SWIFT, the global financial messaging system. Russia's SPFS and China's CIPs are early steps. The aim is a shared platform immune to Western pressure. The new development bank funds projects without relying on the World Bank or IMF. Each move chips away at dollar dominance, building a parallel financial system. It's not a dramatic revolution, but a series of deliberate, coordinated steps. BRICS is laying the groundwork for a world where economic power is more widely distributed. The future of global finance is being quietly rewritten. The petrodollar system, oil priced in dollars, has long fueled U.S. currency dominance. Now BRICS nations are challenging this by trading energy and other currencies. Russia, after Western sanctions, began selling oil to China and India in yuan and rupees. Indian refineries now routinely pay for Russian crude in rupees, bypassing the dollar. The UAE has sold natural gas to China in yuan, and Saudi Arabia is considering non-dollar oil sales. These moves show that even the heart of the dollar system, global energy trade, is shifting. Each successful non-dollar deal builds confidence and encourages others to follow. The petrodollar's foundation is cracking as more countries diversify. BRICS is proving that large-scale commodity trade can happen without the dollar. The world's most essential resource, oil, is now at the center of this currency revolution. The implications for global finance are profound. The era of unquestioned dollar supremacy is ending. De-dollarization isn't just about oil. It's a much broader movement. It represents a strategic shift in how international commerce is conducted, moving beyond reliance on a single currency. It's fundamentally reshaping all sectors of BRICS trade, impacting everything from raw materials to finished goods. This diversification is key to long-term economic stability. Consider this. China and Brazil now settle massive soybean deals, a cornerstone of their bilateral trade relationship. These transactions are increasingly conducted in yuan and reais, bypassing the need for US dollars altogether. This shift is strategically cutting costs associated with currency conversions and, more importantly, reducing exposure to US monetary policy and potential sanctions. In parallel, central banks in China and Russia are actively stockpiling gold, bolstering their reserves with this precious metal. This move is coupled with a gradual but deliberate shift away from U.S. Treasury bonds, signaling a change in investment strategy. Gold offers a reliable hedge against currency volatility, providing a safe haven asset, and also reduces reliance on Western political and financial control. Furthermore, India and the UAE have established local currency trade frameworks, fostering closer economic ties. These frameworks facilitate making deals directly in rupees and dirhams, streamlining transactions and reducing dependency on the dollar. These carefully constructed agreements make non-dollar trade not just possible, but routine and efficient, encouraging wider adoption. The growing patchwork of bilateral deals is creating a more flexible and resilient global trade network, less susceptible to disruptions. Now, a significant trade deal between Brazil and China can be denominated and settled directly in yuan, strengthening their economic partnership. Simultaneously, Russia and Iran are conducting trade in reals, particularly in the energy sector, bypassing traditional financial channels. In this evolving landscape, the dollar is gradually becoming just one option among many viable alternatives for international trade and finance. This shift is a slow but steady process, reflecting a long-term strategic vision rather than a sudden upheaval. It's about weaving non-dollar trade more deeply into the fabric of the global economy, creating a more balanced and multipolar system. The BRICS approach to de-dollarization is fundamentally pragmatic, driven by economic self-interest and a desire for greater stability. The core principles are to diversify trade currencies, adapt to changing global dynamics, and insulate their economies from Western financial shocks. The world's financial fabric is being rewoven, one carefully negotiated deal at a time, gradually altering the landscape of international finance. The long-held monopoly of the US dollar is slowly but surely fading, giving way to a more multifaceted and competitive global financial system. BRICS isn't just changing how they trade, they're building new financial institutions. The new development bank, launched in 2015, offers loans in local currencies, protecting borrowers from dollar volatility. This approach shields countries from debt crises triggered by currency swings. The NDB has funded billions in infrastructure and renewable energy across BRICS and new members like the UAE and Egypt. Alongside it, the contingent reserve arrangement provides emergency liquidity, a BRICS alternative to the IMF. These institutions are designed by and for the developing world. They offer a credible alternative to Western-dominated lenders. BRICS is proving it can build, not just critique, the global financial system. A parallel financial order is taking shape. Why are BRICS and others challenging the dollar? At the core is a desire for sovereignty, freedom from U.S. influence over their economies and policies. U.S. sanctions, like those on Russia, showed how quickly a nation can be cut off from the global system. This fear drives countries to seek alternatives immune to such pressure. Economic self-interest is key. U.S. monetary policy can destabilize other economies. By trading in their own currencies, BRICS nations gain control and stability. There's also a sense of historical justice. The post-1-2 order no longer reflects today's economic realities. BRICS wants a system where influence matches economic weight. The push for de-dollarization is about power, fairness, and a new global balance. The shift from the dollar has real consequences for America and the world. For the U.S., less global demand for dollars means higher borrowing costs and reduced economic leverage. Sanctions become less effective if countries can bypass the dollar system. America's exorbitant privilege could fade, forcing new strategies in foreign policy. For other nations, a multipolar currency world could bring more stability and flexibility. Local currency trade reduces vulnerability to U.S. policy shocks, but the transition could be turbulent. Currency swings, financial instability, and new economic blocs may emerge. The absence of a single global currency could complicate trade, at least initially. Policymakers face a delicate balancing act as the world moves toward a new order. The outcome will shape global economics and politics for decades. The dollar's dominance is no longer guaranteed. The world is preparing for a new financial era. The future of global currencies won't change overnight. The dollar remains deeply entrenched, but its dominance is slowly eroding. We're moving toward a multipolar system, with the yuan and possibly a BRICS currency sharing the stage. The pace depends on BRICS cooperation, China's reforms, and U.S. policy choices. For ordinary people, these shifts affect the cost of goods, interest rates, and job stability. A weaker dollar could mean higher prices in the U.S., but more stability for developing nations. This is about more than money. It's about power and the shape of the world to come. Understanding these changes is crucial for everyone, not just economists. The rules of global finance are being rewritten before our eyes. The outcome will touch every corner of our interconnected world.